Today we will start talking about chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a very important chapter in the sense that there is a lot of money changing hands in the transactions that happen and that we study. This is the chapter that focuses on business to business, B2B. So let's start with the chapter. It's very interesting. Business buyer behavior refers to the buying behavior of the organizations that buy goods and services for use in the production of other products and services that are sold, rented, or supplied to others. Also, it includes the behavior of retailing and wholesaling firms. So the intermediaries will be included in this topic. Now, there is the business buying process, which is the process where business buyers determine which products and services their organizations need. They find, evaluate, and choose among alternative suppliers and brands. So now, it's not the individual, it's the corporation. The buyer will be a corporation, and so is more complex. It's not the sole individual taking the decisions, but now it's a group of individuals taking the decisions about how to do it, where to go, and what to purchase. Now, the business market is huge. Is truly huge. So there are like differences between the B2B and B2C. Remember, I told you business to customers or business to business. Those two transactions or group of transactions are completely different. And you can characterize the differences starting from the market structure of each of those, the demand that they face, the nature of the buying unit, so who takes the decisions, the types of decisions as well, they are different, and the decision process that these actors go through in order to find the right seller. Now, in the regarding the B2B, in the business to business arena, you have fewer but much more larger buyers. The business demand, the function of the demand, is a derived demand. That means when you're a consumer, if you already took microeconomics, you learn about the supply and the demand curves. And so you have a price and the quantity that is required by your consumers. So you derive a demand which normally will have a descending slope. In business to business, the demand is the addition of all the individual demands in such a way that now the demand in a business to business setting is the aggregate of all the individual consumers' demands. Okay? Now, regardless how many consumers you aggregate in that aggregated demand, the demand can be either elastic or inelastic. And it's very straightforward. The elastic is small changes in price will have a direct impact on the quantity that is demanded by your consumers. Whereas if you have an inelastic demand, sometimes the quantity is not as responsive to changes in prices as you would expect. In such a way, for example, there are many inelastic products. To mention one typical example, the drugs. If the coronavirus drug vaccine, to mention one, the coronavirus vaccine is when is in the market, when it arrives, most probably it will not have, the price will have no impact on the quantity that will be demanded for that specific product. So probably somebody will be eager to offer you the vaccine for $2,000, and you might probably will be eager to buy it. That's the reason many governments are now intervening in such a way that they are making massive purchases before this vaccine is available, in such a way that they can lower the price. And nonetheless, is by its own nature an inelastic product. Well, at the end, for the consumer, for the final consumer, it will end up as a completely elastic product. Now, sometimes the demand is fluctuating. For example, when the crisis came this year, some people wanted to buy some jeans, and you were eager to buy jeans because you like the way the jeans look in you. But if at the end you were forced to stop visiting other people, so there is no need for you to buy some jeans. But there is no need for you to look like nice. You are visiting no one. So the fluctuation of the demand on jeans, for example, for Levi's or for true religion, well, it changed because people didn't want those marketing offerings anymore for a period of time, because actually you weren't visiting anybody. So the demand fluctuates quite often in the industrial markets, in the markets of the B2B transactions. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the buying unit. One thing is that you want to buy, to purchase just a pair of jeans. And another very different thing is that you are a store such as Walmart, and you want to buy these Wrangler jeans, which are supposed to be cheaper. Nonetheless, you feel the materials are quite the same. But well, it's okay. You are the guys in purchasing, in the purchasing department at Walmart, and you want to buy this set of Wranglers. So you have to buy quite a million of dollars, quite a millions of dollars of that marketing offering in order to fill your stores, right? So the decision process is different. The buying unit now is different because you will face committees, teams. You will find that if you are Wrangler producing the jeans, if you approach Walmart, probably they will have a head of purchasing for that category, but not necessarily that head of the unit will take the decisions. Most probably it will be a committee, a team of a purchasing team, and it will require more participants, and it will require a much more deeper analysis of your marketing offering in such a way that Walmart will be able to make business if they decide to purchase from you. And of course, there will be more interactions. What do we mean by more buyer interactions? Well, let me give you a good hint. There is a specific number of stitches per square inch if you are trying to sell something to Tommy Hilfiger. They will go to your factory where you are producing their pants, their shirts, their coats, their t-shirts, their polos. They will come and audit your production process, and they might go with rulers and take a sample, a random sample of whatever you are producing at that moment, and is included in the purchasing order that Tommy put to you, to your factory. They will arrive and say, and they will tell you, please show me what are you doing now of our order. So you approach, you bring them to the plant, and they will take out these rulers they have in their pockets, and they start measuring what you are producing. And if in a code there is a specific rule, how many stitches per inch. Sometimes it's square inches for the for the some garments. Sometimes it's lineal inches, and they count how many you are using to produce the thing. And they might probably reject the whole batch on the spot. They will tell you, you know what, this thing you are producing is not for us, because you are not fulfilling the quality control requirements we told you beforehand we were expecting to receive in our stores. So sometimes is more risky. So, and you will face more people deciding, taking all these decisions. And of course, it's much more complex. Stand now on the side, for example, of Kohl's. In Kohl's, they are trying to reach to bring to the stores these marketing offers, probably the dresses for little girls, the dress, the skirts. And now you have to decide, because you are kind of the middle of the road. You are not a designer. You don't want to be like Walmart in the mind of the consumer, the cheapest offering. So how can you be in the middle of everything? So it becomes more complex, and it takes much more time to decide that. Okay, let's move on. Now, there are some decisions that have to be taken by the entity that is going to make the purchase. And now, what you want is not to kill your supplier. You kill your supplier. You key a key supplier of whatever marketing offering you are bringing to the market, and you might be killing yourself. So you have, as a corporation, as a business that will purchase from businesses, you have to develop your supplier networks, and you call them strategic business partners on the long run. And you call them like that because actually your suppliers are your partners. If they do a mistake, you make the mistake. So you have to figure out this very tiny fine line where you have to balance what is profitable for you and what is profitable for your partner. If you try to just exploit your partner indiscriminately, they will go away. Unless you have a really aggressive agreement with them and they can't escape from selling to you. But that even in that case, where you are a monopolist in a market, for example, AT&T. AT&T, you could think, well, they fixed on the transmission wire, they fix the price. Well, yes, but they cannot be that selfish in such a way that they will just kick out suppliers from that market and eventually they will have nobody to sell them transmission wires. So you have to be very smart on this. Now, there's a model, okay, of business buyer behavior. And your book has a special mention on the second square. We have the environment. We already studied, or not actually studied, but we mentioned it in past chapters about the environment. We talked about the marketing mix, where you as a supplier offer a mix of product, price, place, and promotion. But of course, the buyer has these other stimuli, the economic, the technological, political, cultural, and competitive environments. And so in companion with your marketing mix, they will decide, do we want to buy from you or we step away from you? They will decide. But now, inside of the organizations, you will have this department of the purchasing department. Inside of that purchasing department, you will have the buying center. And the buying center sometimes is just a group of individuals, or many times is several groups of individuals purchasing specialized materials. So you have the buying center or the multiple buying centers, and inside of those, each buying center will have its own buying decision process. And that's very relevant, because to say something, if you are producing socks, you have the machine to produce socks, and you have a partner, a long-term strategic partner, also known as supplier of trade, and you have the machine to produce socks. So you start producing the socks. Where do you want to sell them? Well, a very smart thing for you to do is, well, you have to bring cash flow. You want cash flow. To have cash flow, you need volume. To get volume, you go to the big stores. Try to sell high volumes. And so now you have to contact probably JC's, in case it survives, JC Penney's purchasing team for just socks. And they have that team. Actually, they have that team. So they will have their own requirements, their own temporalities when they want from you to buy socks. There are times when they don't want to buy socks from you. Because if you think about it, the inventory is just a dead investment. Is there. Nobody is receiving anything. It's just there. So if you are the manager of a store, you don't want to have too much inventory. It looks bad. It looks bad in your books, and from those books, they will give you your performance evaluations. So as a manager, you don't want to have too much inventory. So what happens is that the purchasing departments will tell the suppliers, you know what? Produce, keep it yourself. Don't send it to me. I'm not going to buy it from you today. But remember, that production is mine, but I'm not going to pay for it right now. And better yet, I'm not going to buy from you now, but keep it safeguarded because I will eventually need it. So that's how it happens. Now, when you approach the corporations for your socks or for your marketing offering, where you are trying to get volume, to get the cash flow, why do you want to get the cash flow? That's kind of silly question, because cash is king. That's the first thing you have to learn in finance. Cash is king, and your cash flow will allow you to move anywhere you want. Eventually, we will talk about financial statements and how it plays, the cash flow, how your marketing offerings play in your financial statements. Eventually, we will talk about that. But now the buyer may decide, well, I want to either buy from you, or I can just try for a short time. Probably I already know your products, already bought from you. So probably I will just take again the same marketing offering I purchased from you before. So there are some kinds or types of buying situations. At the end, it will be the customer, your buyer, who will decide about which products and services they will buy from you, to whom they will buy the marketing offering, how the relationship will go. Watch out, because it's very common that some brands, some suppliers are so powerful that they can sabotage the big retailers. For example, Procter and Gamble. If you don't buy Tide, and you are a retailer, well, you are not buying that product that is attracting many customers to your store, and that could be dangerous for you. Of course, the supplier, in most of the cases, it will be the supplier the customer who will decide what to buy. So they will decide the order size. How are you going to bring the marketing offerings to the stores? And sometimes, many times, they will decide how to pay you. That's very frequent. Don't get scared. If you are trying to sell, I don't know, notebooks, because you could figure out the way to produce notebooks on a larger scale. So it's very common to go to the large retailers, and they will tell you, well, you know what, I will pay this thing to you, this 10,000 notebooks. I will pay them to you in 3 months. So that's what I can do for you. If you want to accept or go away to look for another place. And it happens in this way. Now you have a payable, a receivable. Let me put it straightforward. Accounting one. You have a receivable. They will pay you in 3 months. If you are you really need the cash, you can sell that payable to a third party and they will collect the money in 3 months from your client. You can discount the receivable somewhere else. You see, this is important because there are many ways for you to play around with the money. Now, let's continue. Let's go back to just to the book. 3 types of buying situations. See, the first one is a new task. The third one in the slide, new task. I don't know you. You came offering me this, whatever you are offering. I'm interested. I will buy from you. So this is the first time we do it. New task. Modified modified rebuy. I will buy from you again, but you brought too few. I need more, because you know what? I was thinking about purchasing from you each month, but what I have in inventory, it just lasted 2 weeks. So next time, bring me double the quantity. So that's a modified rebuy. Also, it can happen that the guy will tell you, you know exactly what you sent to my store. It was enough. It was just the proper quantity. I could sell everything in 1 month. So each month, send me exactly the same quantity. So that's a straight buy. And it's quite common. It's very common to one of those 3. Now, system selling systems, system selling. It becomes quite complex, and it's a very sensitive thing, especially for you guys. Your generation is one of the first generations who came used to just push a button. Is not gonna fly. Don't do that. Yes, the system, the selling systems or system sellings will help you a lot to organize better your work, about how to distribute the products. But always make sure the intervention of somebody is there, because probably you might start sending product indiscriminately to one store that doesn't requires that quantity of stock. And when you figure out what was going on, well, it happens that you just sent probably 100,000 pants, Wrangler pants, to the Walmart in Laramie. The inventory is not going to work. Probably they don't even have room for that kind of inventory. So at the end, somebody will correct your mistake. They will reroute the delivery. However, now it will cost you money, because sending something from one place to another is quite expensive. So always try in these systems to have the intervention of somebody at one moment. Let somebody to intervene, to watch, to double check whatever is being sent. Now, inside of the buying center, let's talk about these offices of the big corporations. So now you have either a centralized buying center where it's only one office with a bunch of people deciding for everything, only one group, or probably like the big retailers, Macy's. They have several specialized teams deciding the purchases of each category. And inside of those teams, people play 5 possible roles. You have either users, so probably you are somebody selling to a corporation a business solution for their own business. For example, if you are Cisco and you are just selling network solutions and you are selling that to a hospital such as Stevenson Memorial, well, you are the purchasing department at Stevenson Memorial is going to be your own users. For example, if you are selling Epic, Epic is the brand of this system of patients management system in the large hospital. These guys in Evenson just purchased last year Epic, and they up to today they are trying to figure out how the system works. So your own customers are the users of your marketing offering. Also, you have influencers, people in the purchasing teams that will say, well, you know what, we have to buy. I will not take the decision, but I can tell you, in my brother's organization, they use that product and it works well. And I you can rely on me. I'm telling you about my brother. So those are influencers that will have an opinion on that team, and probably the team will decide to buy your marketing offering. You have the buyers. The buyers will be the guys who will sign the document, who will sign the purchase order, PO. Is different to a requisition order. Normally, internal control wise, it happens in this way. The requirement department or purchasing team issues a list of materials. That list of materials is kind of the requirements order. It's just informing the purchasing team that something is required. And it happens also in the big stores. For example, in big lots, if you don't have any more sets, sofa sets, so probably you don't have. So you place in the system a requirement order, and it goes to the purchasing team. And the purchasing team takes that requirement order. They say, well, we need this stuff. Let's look for a supplier. And they start looking for a supplier. But it will be the buyer in the corporate offices who will buy, even elaborate the purchasing order. And the purchasing order is a contract itself. And it goes to the supplier. And the supplier now will agree, if everything is in order, to supply those materials, whatever was required. You have the deciders. Probably the buyer is the person who will be on charge and will sign the documentation. Probably the decider is not the buyer, and that's very frequent. The buyer will be somebody else. It's kind of, Daddy, can I get that thing? And remember, it was your dad, your mom, or whoever was in charge of you. Okay, you can have it, or no, you are not going to have that. Remember that when you were kids. Well, happens in the same thing, in the same way in the organization. And it's very important to have different people acting as deciders and as buyers. You want to minimize the risk of collusion of your employees. All you can name those employees if you are the CEO, buyers, and the suppliers. You want to avoid any ethical concern. You want to avoid kickbacks. So that's the reason sometimes you have a decider somewhere else. And it happens very frequently, especially when you go to the offices and you have this large amount of small purchases, for example, pens for a pen for an office. You need a pen, you need a pencil. You don't place a large purchase order for that. You go to whoever is managing cash in the office in this small box. So they will give you $5, $10, and you will have to write down a receipt. Well, probably you are going to be the buyer, but somebody else will at the end authorize that purchase. And you have the gatekeepers, and the gatekeepers are those people who don't allow you to go to the purchasing team. So you have this wonderful marketing offering. Probably you have a new lens for a camera and you want to sell it. You are 7 artisans. It's a nice brand, interesting brand. I believe that those guys are Korean. And you have this marketing offering, a new 50 millimeters camera lens, and you want to sell it to BH for the studio. Well, you know what? Not necessarily it will happen, because a gatekeeper will not allow you to meet the guys who are taking the decision. So they will give you most of the time instructions how to approach all those guys. Now, we will stop here, take a break. We will come back with the second part of the chapter.